7:07 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, and hope you're having a great one. It is Thursday, July 17th of 2025, and we have a lot of news to get to this morning. The investigation into the massive, and I mean massive, Joe Biden cover-up does continue. I want you to listen to this. Guy named Anthony Bernal. He was supposed to testify yesterday. Now, who is this guy? Who is Anthony Bernal? I got to tell you, the air was thick with anticipation in Washington, D.C., because this guy basically was Jill Biden's work husband.
Republican leaders called him the ultimate gatekeeper, someone who had unfettered access to Joe Biden, really the whole family in the White House.
Yeah, that's right, because, you had Kevin O'Connor, of course, Biden's doctor, and Joe Biden's family. Well, this guy, Anthony Bernal, he is somebody who would know everything.
Mr. Bernal, was President Joe Biden fit to exercise the duties of the president?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
There's a shock. He pled the Fifth. Yep. Just like Dr. Kevin O'Connor, this guy, Bernal, Jill Biden's work husband, he refused to answer any questions related to the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental decline while in office.
Did any unelected official or family member of President Joe Biden execute the duties of the presidency?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Well, again, if this sounds familiar, it is because Joe Biden's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, did the same thing.
Mr. Bernal, did President Joe Biden ever instruct you to lie regarding his health at any time, including but not limited in your testimony to Congress today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
I mean, it went on like this. And in all of this, he very specifically said that answering this question or these questions, he would incriminate himself. Now, what that tells me is that he knows that he has done something wrong. He knows that he knows something. He knows something that if he testifies, if he admits it, or somehow they get it out of him under oath, then he would incriminate himself.
Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
So obviously the question is, what are people like Anthony Bernal, Jill Biden's work husband, what is it that he is hiding? What is it that the entire Biden clan is hiding? By the way, that audio comes from the House Oversight Committee. He was called as a witness regarding Joe Biden's use of AutoPen. That's what this whole thing is about, is AutoPen. And the question of whether or not Biden was aware of what was being done in his name, and did Joe Biden, did he understand what was going on? So committee investigators pressing this guy Bernal on his past assessments of Joe Biden's mental and physical condition during this interview, asking him whether he advised the then president to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, among other questions, and whether Joe Biden was fit for the presidency. And again, you just heard his response over and over again. He pled the Fifth. James Comer, of course, is not surprised by any of this. And by the way, neither am I.
This is the second witness that we've brought in via subpoena for a deposition that has pled the Fifth, and they've stated they're not going to answer questions. I think that the American people are concerned. They're concerned that there were people making decisions in the White House that were not only unelected, but no one to this day knows who they were. We believe there was illegal use of the AutoPen. We're gonna continue to bring these people in, give them an opportunity to answer questions.
Do you know who they're going to call in, Joan?
Who are they going to call?
Cringe.
Not Ghostbusters.
Cringe Jean-Pierre. No, not Ghostbusters.
You think they're going to call her?
She's on the list.
Oh, yeah, she'll have a lot to say.
Cringe. Do you know what the thing is, though?
She'll be paging through her notebook.
Oh, I know. It's here somewhere. I know it's here somewhere. No, you know what, though? If Cringe Jean-Pierre is truly become, like an independent and all that stuff, if she is truly become an independent, what kind of name could she make for herself if she goes in there and she burns the whole thing down? And she says, everybody knew that Joe Biden was a train wreck. Everybody knew that his mental abilities, his mental cognition was fading right before our eyes.
It would be really interesting if she did that. And she could make a name for herself.
That's the thing. Because nobody takes her seriously right now. And I mean nobody. Nobody on her side of the aisle, certainly nobody on our side of the aisle, really thinks much of Karine Jean-Pierre. And so I think that would give her the opportunity to, number one, make a name for herself. You might even be able to say that she is also atoning for her sins.
Maybe.
Thank you, Joan.
She'd have a lot of atoning to do.
That's a lot of atoning.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I don't think that I want to see much of Karine Jean-Pierre, even if she is atoning for past sins. Anita Dunn, senior advisor, also going to be called in. Ron Klain, former chief of staff, and Ian Sams, a communications aide, and a host of others from the Biden administration. Now, you know that they've circled the wagons, obviously. So we're not going to really find, in my opinion, we're not going to find much out. And I believe that everyone knows that. But remember, Biden did that New York Times interview. We talked about this earlier this week, Joan, where he claims that he made every clemency and pardon decision. That's what he says, his exact quote.
And he said that to the New York Times, right?
Yes.
Do they have video of him saying that?
Not that I know of.
So do you trust that he actually said that? Or was it a statement that was sent in by somebody in his family, inner circle, whatever?
You know, that's a great point. I don't know how they did I don't know if there is audio floating around of Joe Biden in the interview with the New York Times and I also don't know if they pushed back. Because, I got these people, these journalists, and I'm air quoting, versus narrative peddlers. I believe that the New York Times is a narrative peddler. Because the obvious question is, okay, Mr. Biden, President Biden, if you made every one of those decisions, he explained the auto pen was used due to the high volume of clemency actions, nearly 4,000. I would have asked him, okay, well, then let's go through some of these and see if you know who these folks are or what they did. Because I guarantee you that they don't. By the way, they also looked at emails. The New York Times looked at emails, and the emails actually showed that Joe Biden's chief of staff gave final approval for auto pen signed pardons, including his family members, including Hunter, the January 6th committee, Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, among others, at night. An aide's email at 10:03 p.m. I've also seen other stories that said that it was 10:32 p.m., whatever, that day. And it summarized the decisions from a meeting indicating that Biden wasn't in the room for every single action. So I think that it was one of those situations where they just said, here's what we're going to do. Let us handle the details. And I think Biden said, in his rather diminished state, okay. I've got a little bit more detail on this straight ahead. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, high of 95, scattered thunderstorms as well. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Talking about Joe Biden, the auto pen scandal, the auto pen cover-up, the cover-up of his rapidly mentally diminishing mind that happened while he was in office. And the big question is, really, it does have to do with, these pardons where he supposedly gave pardons and clemency to family members, Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, and thousands of others. Staffers also admitted to the New York Times that they were not always in the room when Joe Biden gave that final approval. So I want you to think about this. It could be very easy for a chief of staff working with a shadowy government to call the shots. Because if you've got one guy who really is the gatekeeper, maybe working with Joe Biden, if you've got one guy that is the gatekeeper, he can say, well, I was with the president and he said yes, this is, these are who we want to pardon and this is what we want to do regarding policy. It would be really easy. Have one person say, oh, yeah, I was in the room with the president. This is what we're going to do. And then start auto-penning away.
You know, whenever you vote for somebody at the ballot box, you expect that person to be the person who's actually calling the shots, the person who's going to be held accountable for what's done during their administration. And as we're seeing here, not only did Joe Biden not approve of all of these pardons himself, but he approved certain criteria that a bunch of people would fall under.
Yeah, you see, that's Congressman Brandon Gill. That is exactly what I was talking about. And so I can see them asking Biden a question like, you know, Mr. President, if someone may be unfairly prosecuted by that evil Nazi Donald Trump coming into office, would you like to grant them pardons or clemency? And I can see him saying yes, and they would fill in the blanks. I mean, that's how I see this happening. That's kind of like what Republican Congressman Brandon Gill, it's kind of like what he's talking about.
And as the White House learned new information, the White House team changed who was on those pardon lists without Joe Biden's knowledge and signed these pardons in his name without his approval. That's wrong. That is a major scandal. And listen, President Trump is exactly right. There were things done, legal things, pardons done in Joe Biden's name that he didn't know about, and that's wrong.
And here's the other thing. Even if you had a list of people, they would add to that list. That's what Brandon Gill is saying. They would add to that list and not tell him. Assuming, by the way, that they told him in the first place, of course. But, you know, to me, and I understand that there's so many people, and understandably so, that are focused on the pardons. I mean, we spoke yesterday, you know, which Biden official or cabinet member do you most want to see hauled off in handcuffs? And I think it comes down to basically two. You've got Anthony Fauci and you have Alejandro Mayorkas. Those are the big two. Other people, of course, saying Joe Biden himself. I would agree with that, although I don't believe that Biden really knew what was going on, but whatever. But there's also all of that legislation. I mean, to me, it's not just about the pardons, and I understand that is a very important part of this, but it's also about the legislation, although at this point, the question would have to be asked, okay, so if they did use AutoPen for a lot of the legislation that Joe Biden signed, well, some of that stuff has already been reversed. And then, okay, so then what are you going to do? Are you going to then go in and relitigate that legislation that, Joe Biden and the Democrats and some Republicans were able to push through? What do you do if you realize that Joe Biden had no idea the stuff that he was signing and the legislation that he supposedly signed into law? What do you do with that? Do you then automatically reverse it? Do you have the current president then and the current Congress and the Senate, do you have them go ahead and, do a very quick relitigation of all of that? I don't know what you do. But at least with the pardons, you have a concrete action that you can take. The concrete action that you can take is, okay, so if AutoPen was used and Biden didn't know what the heck he was doing, then we are going to reverse it. And Dr. Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, and all you other folks, Alejandro Mayorkas, we'd like to have a word with you. So there is something actionable there. Donald Trump was asked about all of this yesterday.
Look, the AutoPen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side. The people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee you he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it.
So now the White House is also, by the way, because, Congress, the House Oversight, they are checking into this, but also the White House is investigating. They say that they are going to go over, how'd you like to have this job, Joan? They're going to go over 1 million pieces of material.
Oh, my.
1 million pieces, the White House. And so they're getting all of the material back from the archives and all of that kind of stuff. And they're just going to start going through all of this. This is from the Associated Press. The White House is investigating former President Joe Biden's use of the AutoPen, with senior administration officials telling Fox News Digital that they already are reviewing tens of thousands of documents turned over by the National Archives and Records Administration. So there's a lot of investigation that needs to be done. Ultimately, the question is, to what end? Like
exactly.
What is the point? And
either heads roll or stop investigating.
Either heads roll or don't even bother.
Right.
You're absolutely right, Joan. It is 7:23 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan has the news at 7:38. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in. It is Thursday. It is July 17th of 2025, and I do appreciate you listening. All right, so there's just some very quick polling news. The CNN and Harry Enton. Republicans who approve of Donald Trump. Now, I asked Joan how she feels the president is doing right now with Republicans with all of this Epstein stuff going on and so forth. And Joan said that she believes that the president has actually gone down with Republicans. And Sam is training as well. He thought that the approval of the president would also go down amongst Republicans. Both of y'all are wrong, at least according to CNN. And let's be honest, they're wrong all the time anyway. But CNN says that according to their polling, prior polling, Republicans who approve of Donald Trump, 86%, that polling is now at 88%.
Nice.
Also, the Quinnipiac poll, prior poll, 87%, and now he is up to 90%. So that is, one thing that the president can look at, and, he can say, okay, well, I'm still doing okay in some of that polling. By the way, they're also talking about the Democrats, and the Democrats, and for you folks watching on TV, I took pictures of the TV. I'm looking at my phone. That's how I got this. Democrats' net approval of congressional Democrats. So how do you think the Democrats feel about their party in Congress? How do you think they feel? Do you think that is going up or down? What do you think, Joan?
Up.
You think, okay, so you think up. Sam, what do you think? You think the Democrats, do you think their net approval of congressional Democrats, you think it's gone up or down?
I would think it would be going down.
Okay. You are right, Sam. In June 2025, they were underwater by 12 points, negative 12. So the rank and file Democrats across the nation, their net approval of congressional Democrats down 12 in June of 2025. However, in July, it is now down 13.
Wow.
It is in negative 13 territory. So can somebody please tell me why exactly it is that we have the Democrats and, they're so excited about this whole Epstein thing. And I get it. The reason, I've explained this to you, friends, the reason why the Democrats are all over this Epstein thing is because it gives them something to talk about besides all of the great things that Donald Trump has been doing. And so that's why all of a sudden, oh, by the way, 6649 is asking why. Well, I think the reason why is because, and what have we been talking about the last couple of weeks, that the rank and file in the Democrat Party, they don't believe that the Democrats in Congress are fighting Donald Trump hard enough. Remember, they want blood. Remember that whole story? Part of that whole assassination culture that we've been talking about? So for me, I think this, again, not to belabor the point, but to me, I think this is why the Democrats are, calling for the release of the Epstein material, the Epstein files, and, they're calling out Donald Trump and all of this stuff, which, by the way, nobody on the left seemed to care about until it became an incredibly divisive issue within the Republican Party. So clearly, things are not going good. Things are not going well for the Democrats. There was also this story, Trump hit by poll blow, bad polling, over the handling of the Epstein files. A new Reuters Ipsos poll shows that most Americans believe Donald Trump and the Trump administration is hiding key information related to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. Despite previous promises to release the documents, the administration, as everyone knows, has reversed course, igniting frustration across party lines, and especially within Donald Trump's MAGA base. Now, is there anything new on because everybody talked about this, and they should have talked about this yesterday, where Donald Trump, with that incredible Truth Social yesterday, where this is where he's at. This whole thing regarding Epstein is a hoax. And if you are still talking about Epstein, then I don't want your support. I mean, I have never in my life, and this is actually saying something, I have never in my life been so horrified by a social media post regarding, political, as I was in what Donald Trump did yesterday. I mean, dude, you have got to read the room. And Trump, you have done a lot of great things, incredible things. But how dare you say that you don't want my support and all of these folks across America who voted for you, who lost family members and friendships. Some people lost jobs over their support of you, Donald Trump. And how dare you say that you don't want our support? I mean, you want to talk about a gut punch. That was a gut punch. And I think he is totally blowing it on this one issue. And the American people who are Republicans, it seems to me like a lot of folks actually agree with where I'm at. And he's also out there saying that this is, Joan, real quickly, look at retail sales. They have now gone up in June. It's great news.
Just released?
Just released moments ago.
Okay.
So Donald Trump is out there saying that this whole thing is a hoax, right? That's the other thing that he's saying, that this whole thing with Epstein is a hoax. It was, something that was the doing of James Comey and whatever.
I love how they do this. And this is from CNN. They say that retail sales rose last month because everyone was outspending before Donald Trump ruined their lives with his tariffs.
Oh my goodness! Are you kidding? Is that their play?
I mean, that's I'm
I know
not quoting them, but yes, that's the play.
Doing.
Yeah,
they had to get out there and spend all that. And here's the funny thing: is that in other either numbers and whatever, they'll say, well, Donald Trump is ruining the economy right now because of the tariffs, and so they just. However they can paint that in a negative way is what they're going to do. Anyway, so at least to me, Trump is also, again, saying that this whole thing is a hoax with Epstein. And I don't understand how is this a hoax? Like, where's the hoax? We know that it happened. And you're the one, Donald Trump, who brought in Bongino and Cash and Pam Bondi. You are the one that did that. So for me, this is not, I'm just telling you folks, this is not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker. I think Trump is so busy with everything that he's got going on that he has completely misread this story. He has completely blown it on this story. And Pam Bondi sure as heck didn't help either. So
good catch.
And Cash Patel, whole thing. So anyway, I don't have a big long rant about his about what he did yesterday. I think that somebody posted to my social media, Trump is trying to figure out a way to fix all of this. Man, I don't know what he does, because he keeps going down this road of if you are still talking about Epstein, then I don't want your support. I mean, number one, that's easy for him to say when he's not running for re-election. But what about all those people in Congress? What about all of those Republicans who are desperately trying to hold on to the House of Representatives, the majority in the House? So I don't get it. And I was flabbergasted yesterday when I saw that. It is a good thing that I didn't see it, because I would have lost my ever-loving mind if I had seen that live on the air. Thankfully, it came out at, I think, 8:43, and we were in the midst of another, what we do, and we didn't see it until I heard about it with Chris on the way home. So, and great job, by the way, with Chris Handman yesterday. He just owned that story, and everybody did a great job on that yesterday. It is 7:48. Time to check the roads on WTN. 7:48 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as, and Joan, maybe you can help me with this. Weather today, high of 95, scattered thunderstorms as well. Mm-hmm. Did Republicans vote against releasing the Epstein files?
I don't know if that was voted on yet.
ChatGPT says they did.
Okay.
And so, and I believe that the reason why they voted against releasing those files, I don't know what the official reason is, but I think Republicans desperately want this to go away. Here's part of the dynamic, is that unlike Donald Trump, the Republicans are coming up to, of course, midterm elections. They desperately want to hold on to the majority. And so if this came up for a vote, it's going to go one of two ways. You're going to either vote, yes, we need to release the Epstein files, which means that you are effectively going against Donald Trump, right? If you vote no on releasing the Epstein files, well, then you are trying to protect pedophiles. So for Republicans, there is no good way to be able to deal with all of this. And by the way, if you also voted yes on releasing the Epstein files, then you run the risk of being accused of trying to do harm to the victims here by bringing this story up yet again. Although, as I said yesterday, well, if you were one of the victims of the whole Jeffrey Epstein trafficking thing, well, you have sat around for years now waiting for the people that did horrible things to you to face justice, and you haven't seen that. So I just don't think that the Republicans, they are kind of in a no-win situation, and the Democrats are absolutely owning this. They are throwing gasoline on the fire, and they are enjoying this a lot. So anyway, that's just my take on the whole Epstein thing for today. I may have some more, fire and brimstone, whatever, tomorrow, but at least for me today, I think there's a lot of other news that I've been covering. And I think that President Trump, he has done a lot of great things. But this one, I believe it's got the opportunity to lose him a lot of Republican support. It is 7:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, in case you haven't heard, Chris Hand and I, today is the big day. We are recording our next version of Mostly Peaceful with Dan and Chris. And today we're going to focus on memes. And so if you've got a favorite meme that you want us to share on the Mostly Peaceful podcast, then do me a favor and do me a solid and send it. Joan, I'm starting to sound like you.
Oh, no.
Do me a solid and send me your favorite meme of the week. And if we use that meme on today's, episode of Mostly Peaceful with Dan and Chris, if we use your meme on the podcast, you get to watch it for free, like everybody else.
Doesn't everybody else watch it for free?
You know what, Joan?
Is there any prize for this?
Why are you always, why are you always calling me out in this stuff? All I'm saying is that you can watch it for free, just like everybody else.
I see.
We don't have any. Do you know what I can do? I can give away you know what, Joan? You know what I'm going to do? If we use your meme, I will give you an autographed little package of throat coat. It'll be autographed, Joan.
Wow. That's something, Dan.
That one right there, if we use your meme.
Wow.
I know. Joan, you're speechless. I can tell. This is a very big... Whatever. All right, moving on. But yeah, send me your memes into the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. What's coming up?